Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm joined by Sean Connolly and Laura Bradburn. We're here to talk about Celtic 1, Kilmarnock 0. I'll come to yourself first. Sean, incessant rain throughout. It's the same scoreline as it was at half-time at the weekend. Slightly different game, isn't it?
I think it's been a very different game. Kilmarnock have changed their tactics. They've gone 3 up, sort of, instead of 2 up. So they've got an extra man up there with Kyle Lafferty as the target man. They're also, something they were doing very early on was letting Carter Vickers and Starfield really come very high up. And then when they were playing a pass, there was 2 men like really closing down that pass immediately, which is something they didn't necessarily do at the weekend either. And then it worked for them, relatively speaking, early on. As you say, it's still the same score, but the only goalkeeper that's actually made a save so far is Joe Hart. So that's one way to look at it, if you want to call it working. But, 1-0, but it's very much I'm not going to call it an even game or dominating possession, but Kilmarnock are definitely giving us a much better effort than they did at the weekend.
They look, Laura, like Sean's saying, like they could create chances. It doesn't help, of course, when we've been a wee bit reckless with our possession, particularly at the back. And one of the guys we'd been speaking about was, of course, Carol Starfelt. Some interesting comments coming in, and I will bring them in. Some pretty harsh comments, you might think, actually, in relation to it, but it has given the ball away a hell of a lot in that first half, Laura.
Yeah, the specific one that springs to mind for me is the one that he gave away to Kyle Lafferty, who then tried a lob that was, I think, closer to the corner flag than it was to the goal. But yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about before the game. For all the improvement that Starfelt has made, you're always worried at the back of your mind that he could give a ball away like that and potentially cost you, at the very least possession, at the very most a goal. But it's partly down to, I think Kilmarnock deserves some credit for it, based on what Sean's saying there about, they've obviously identified that a lot of their distribution comes from the 2 centre backs, and if they can close that down, not only can they catch us quite high up and then give themselves space to attack, they also can prevent us from creating chances going forward, which certainly in the first 20 minutes or so they were managing to do reasonably well.
I'm having a wee look at my notes here because obviously 18, 19 minutes into the game, we break the deadlock, and I've written down here, Sean, Lafferty, get it up you. So is it an assist or is it an OG? I mean, who's getting the goal?
I was begging for an own goal. When the camera was focusing on him for the goal, I was, oh my goodness, please be a Lafferty own goal. But then as soon as you see the replay, he's just made a really bad job of trying to clear the ball and just had it straight off Maeda. And to give him, no, I'm not going to give him anything. But a normal, any other player, you might give them some credit and say that's, you wouldn't be expecting a winger / striker to be in that position when you're trying to put out play a set piece. So Maeda was just being his ubiquitous self and just happened to be there when the ball got kicked off him and into the net.
No, you're right. And, that was something, Laura, that Ange spoke about. I think it was after the Aberdeen game where we continually, put in balls at pace into the box. Nobody's there. And they were just fizzing across the face of the box. Maeda gets himself in the right position. It pays dividends. Ricochets off his chest and at the back of the net. He probably thought, I'm going to go and see the Celtic fans, then realised about 50 yards away from the goal and thought, no, I'll just stand here. But it did break the deadlock. It gives us a wee bit of comfort because, yeah, they've been physical. I get all that. They have been physical. But, they've crafted too many chances for my liking. But again, it goes back to Maeda and Moy since the World Cup, Laura. They've been pivotal for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think Maeda's goal tonight is kind of reminiscent of the Jota one the other week there that Maeda did put in for Jota. It's about being in the place to make the fortune for yourself. People will say it ricocheted off him, it went in. They said the same about Jota, but the fact of the matter is, if Maeda isn't there, then as poor as a clearance it is from Lafferty, it still goes out for a corner. But if Maeda puts himself in that position, anything can happen, and it obviously did. So it's about putting yourself in the positions and then being aware enough to take advantage of those when they come, whether it's just throwing your body at it, as Maeda seems to have done, or getting a touch on it or a finish on it. So, luck, it plays a big part in some games, but it's my genuine opinion that you make your own luck in a situation like that by making sure you're where the ball's going to cause a danger to the opposition's goal.
For sure. I think Jock Sporran is speaking on behalf of most of the 600 or so who have tuned into Acsom tonight. That assist couldn't have come from a better person.
I love that avatar as well. That's nice.
It's brilliant, isn't it? It's superb. That's one of the strips, though, Laura. I think it improved with time. I wasn't a massive fan at the time, but now when I look at it, it's absolutely class. Didn't they call it black magic when it came out?
I think they did. We'll be scouring eBay for a grey and pink number in about 20 years' time. I think.
We will be. 100% long sleeve number, without a doubt. Magnet 67. Evening Acsom team. Scrappy stuff mostly so far. Yeah, absolutely. Always find it strange that Starfelt is always the instigator rather than an actual decent ball player like Kilmarnock dropping and starting. I think at the weekend there, I was kind of heading into the halftime bulletin thinking there's not much to talk about. We scored a goal and it made it a wee bit better. But there is plenty to talk about in that first half, because on the weekend I thought we're going to get a goal, then we'll put it to bed. What are we going to do in this second half, Sean, to make sure that we do? Because I don't think it's as easy as it was last time round. What's the gaffer saying to the boys at halftime there?
Sorry, I missed the name of the contributor, but what he's saying is he's talking about what Scott Brown used to do for Brendan Rodgers, where he would come in between the centre backs and get the ball. And we don't do that under Postecoglou. We trust the centre backs to do that. And as he rightly points out, Starfelt is the kind of weak link in that system. You see the good and the great of Starfelt in any game. I think I had my notes at one point where he puts in a really aggressive tackle at the pitch on Vassell. It was good. There was another one here, 32 minutes, where he makes a great interception in the box. But then the other side of it is where he just concedes soft possession to Lafferty, who decided he didn't have the legs to run and just shot from 40 yards instead. If that was a good player, that could have been a real threat. And there was another one I've got written here where he plays a 1-2 with Hatate, and he returns it to Hatate at head height. Instead of being at his feet. So, like that's the sort of thing you get from Starfelt. You get one, a really aggressive defender, but also someone that just can't pass a ball. In terms of how that's going to affect the second half, I think Kilmarnock are going to have to open up the fact that we've got this lead. So that they can't, they are parking the bus in a sense, but having the three players up front is making it seem the Celtic TV commentators were describing it as a high press. It wasn't. It was what you call an intermittent press, if you will, where they pick and choose their moments to press and be offensive. And other than that, they were very, very, very deep. And you'd have to imagine that's going to have to change at some point. They're going to have to go and try and find a goal. So I think we're going to ring the changes after about 15 minutes, and you could see those fresh legs make a difference. And Kilmarnock opening up, you could see the game getting a bit better quality for us.
Yeah, we were talking to Alan on Friday, Laura, just about that. The fact that having the quality on the bench is absolutely pivotal for Celtic, because we can grind them down for 60 minutes and then bring on the likes of O'Reilly, Giakoumakis, et al. Do you think we'll see the new boy at any point? Is it too risky at this stage to bring on Kobayashi? I know that Starfelt was getting a bit of a hammering at half time here, but it still seems a bit risky to hook him, doesn't it?
I think personally I would like to see another couple of goals go in before you bring a defender on for his debut in a cup match like this, because it could go one of two ways. It's either the baptism of fire that he needs to kind of become a bit of an instant hero, or it goes wrong and it takes a long time to recover from it. So the cautious part of me says that we need to be a bit more comfortable in the game before we consider making that change. The other way you could look at it is, would we be more comfortable the way that Starfelt's playing tonight if he wasn't on the pitch. So there's two different ways of looking at it. I don't expect Ange to make that change anytime soon, but I would like to see him make some sort of appearance if we can get ourselves another couple of goals early on in the second half.
Yeah, I want to talk about the fullbacks, so let's bring in some of the comments. Stephen Sloan, Starfelt and Burnaby are giving me a heart attack. Our defending has been poor in that half. Kilmarnock had some clear-cut chances. Why do we persist with the high crosses when we have no height? Burnaby was another concern for me. There was a lot of possession given away in that first half, Sean. I mean, what's your thoughts? I know that we don't actually have any real option there at this moment in time, but when you've got Starfelt and Burnaby giving away possession quite a bit, but then on the right-hand side, you've got Carter Vickers solid and Juranovic playing his usual game, back to normal. So the right-hand side's a lot stronger than the left at the moment, isn't it?
I thought Juranovic kind of died off in the last 15 minutes, but he was definitely very good in the first 25, 30. I believe he won the free kick for the goal, if memory serves me correctly. And I think Burnaby stays in the team by virtue of what he offers in an offensive and an attacking sense, because he really does have the legs, he really does have the pace, he does have a bit of strength and a low centre of gravity, so he is getting into those offensive positions. His final ball was really hit and miss. He did put one into a good dangerous area, but I don't know if it seems almost like he's kind of guessing, because the other attacking players don't really seem to know where he's going to be putting it, which is not something you can say for a Maeda cross. Usually when a Maeda cross comes in, every other player on the pitch knows where it's going. So I don't know if it's a problem with Burnaby, or I don't know if it's a problem with the team overall not really reading each other. I don't know, is that a thing that just comes with playing together more often? I don't know.
Yeah, this is the thing, Laura, because we're talking about Burnaby. He needs game time. It's an opportunity for him to get that. I'm not quite at the stage where I want Juranovic to go to left back and bring on Johnson. We need him to knit into the side and into the style of the team as well. And of course, in front of him you've got Maeda, and Sean comes in. Maeda and Moisho, I've been impressed with both of them. And I thought that actually at the weekend in the league game, Maeda had a right good contest with Mayo, but tonight he's definitely getting the better of him.
Yeah, I think he is, and I think for Burnaby's sake, there's a couple of ways you can handle it. As you see him struggling and you take him off, but what does that do for his confidence? If he can have a second half that he gets to grips with things, gets to grips with his opponent, gets to grips with exactly what he's trying to do and turns the game around, that could give him a real boost. But there's only so many times you can allow him that chance, and so it'll be interesting to see, if he doesn't hit the ground running in the start of the second half, how quickly it is before Ange makes that decision, because as we all know, he's not afraid to make changes when they're required. So, but I think personally, if I was Ange in this situation, I would keep him on, because I think if you hook him at half time, it could be really detrimental to his confidence.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, the conditions aren't helping any of the teams, as F points out as well. John Sweeney tells us Hart has most saves in that first half, and Starfelt was going to cause a goal. His passing has been woeful. Hopefully that settles down in the second half. I also want to touch on Jota. He's a player that he's suffered a wee bit of injury and illness recently, Sean. But I thought in both games against Kilmarnock, he looks in the mood, but I don't think he's getting enough of the ball. I think in the second half we need to feed him a wee bit more.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not as, I know it's easy to say that, but it's not quite as easy to do it when you're up against that kind of really deep low block. He has had a good couple of touches, and he did pull one out the sky really well, as did Aaron Moy. Oh, what unbelievable one coming down from the gods, and he just killed it. And you're right, Jota, I actually think he's played a couple of passes that were really incisive, and there actually wasn't, nobody else read it. So I don't know if there's, I think he's not quite in the swing of things yet, but he's certainly shown that he's coming onto a game, and if it's not today, then someday in the next couple of weeks he's going to get a right doing off Jota. I believe he was the only ever player to get Player of the Month 3 times in one season last year, I think. I don't know if I'm
right?
misremembering that. I might be, but I believe that's something along those lines.
Sorry,
When
Sean.
I was just going to say, when he hits a purple patch, he hits a purple patch, you know?
He does, yeah. And I kind of thought he was coming back into that. Laura had already noted the absolute chiselled brilliance of Johan Mjällby's Fazog, and we've now got Jota sporting a tremendous wee moustache. And somebody pointed out he looks a bit like a young Ange Postecoglou, Laura.
It does. I mean, listen, he looks like a little bit of a young version of my dad. Not to do my dad, blow my dad's
Your old
own
man,
trumpet too
a bit
much.
like Jota.
Oh, well, he rocked the
Compliment.
tash in the 80s. Let's put it that way. So, but no, listen,
Nope. Kyle
let him
Lafferty's
do what he
off. Sorry.
let him do what he wants to do. But I know Kyle Lafferty being off just brightened all of our Saturday evenings, that's for sure. Unless he was going for another own goal, which I would have enjoyed.
Anybody feel sorry for Kyle Lafferty, let us know in the comments section. We'll go back to the action. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and we will be back at full time. All that's left for me to say is thank you to Sean Connolly and Laura Bradburn for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
Thanks.